Yes. Hi,
Okay.
hard droppers. This is the Tetris Tournament Online 3, the losers bracket round 2 between QMK and Whip Emerald. The match will begin now.
Oh,
QMK's.
Daniel, I wanted to introduce it. Shame on you.
Okay, you can introduce the players.
Okay, but you didn't introduce yourself either. Okay, guys. Hi, hard droppers. This is Jixu and Daniel, co-commentating the match between QMK and with Emerald. Sorry about that. Did you say that I should introduce the players?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How about I introduce QMK and you introduce with Emerald?
Sure.
Okay. So QMK is probably one of the most defensive players left in the tournament right now. He's an excellent downstacker. I watched the match versus him and Hebo Mai, and it was just fantastic. I mean, he can survive high APM, but he also knows when to send high APM as well, which is really beneficial, especially with his playstyle. I think we'll see today that I don't see him making a lot of misdrops, so I think he's a very consistent player, and hopefully we could just see how awesome he is today.
And Whip Emerald is a Japanese player. He's actually relatively new to the scene, even though he's been playing for a while. He is quite a good offensive player. He knows how to set up T-spin singles well, and he does have great T-spin vision. Um, he did get 13 games off of Blink, so that's actually pretty impressive.
All right, so Daniel, I know that you are a very analytical player. Who do you think has the advantage in this match? Um, and who has the advantage in this match?
I think QMK has the advantage because his timing and defense will. I think he'll be able to handle Whip Emerald's attack. And being the offensive player, you're more prone to bad decision making, especially when you're rushing to spike your opponent out, and also misdrops. So QMK might be able to take advantage of those and win the
Okay.
match. I think it'll be close though.
I haven't seen With Emerald play that much at all. You said he is a very offensive player. How is his down stacking?
His down stacking is good, but in comparison to the rest of the top 16, I wouldn't say it's above average when you compare it to the other numbers of the
Mm-hmm.
top 16.
And I think a big difference between QMK and with Emerald is that QMK does time a lot more than with Emerald does, just from what I've heard and what I've seen, the brief amount that I've seen. So,
Yes, I believe
and
so too.
there were two warm ups before this.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I just realized that I'm the host of this, so I have to keep pressing start. Okay, it seems like both players are opening up with T-spin doubles. They just mirrored each other perfectly. Um, Relative speeds, would you say that they have the same speed?
Looking at sprint time, it seems like they have the same speed, and it does appear that their speeds are quite similar right now. So it's going to be more about tactics than one player having a speed advantage throughout the game.
And I'm seeing a lot of clean garbage on Q&K side, which kind of just furthers what you were saying about Whip Emerald's offensive abilities.
Whip Emerald does sometimes mix it up with T-spin singles though. He sees a lot of those and that adds the messy garbage element to his offensive attack. Otherwise, it's just too easy for his opponent to downstack through.
Do T-spin singles send lines in TetrisFriends?
They send 2 lines when they're not back to back and 3 when they're back to back.
Okay.
So 2 and 3 are both messy garbage.
I think Whip Emerald sends a lot of messy garbage through his attacks, whereas K does a lot
Looks like, oh
of
wow, that
downstack
was a big
combos,
spike.
which sends a messy garbage to Whip Emerald's side. Was that a lag spike? I saw QMK freeze for a second.
I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at Whip Emerald's screen, but I think it might have been a big spike from Whip Emerald.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I had to fix the stream. The time was a little bit skewed.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna change something really quickly.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of back and forth action here as the garbage is pretty clean on both players' fields. Whip Emerald was just at the top of his matrix, but he was able to downstack through pretty easily because the garbage was mostly clean garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Both
And I
players
think
are now at the bottom. Yes.
I was gonna say I think Whip Emerald recognizes that QMK doesn't have a strong attack when he opens up, so he was stacking very high the Tetrises, if you noticed, which were high above his field, just to send a better attack to QMK before anything else went on.
Oh yes, I actually noticed that some very good players do that. Since I don't really send many lines in the beginning either, when I play players like Ha 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 or Bar, they just stack really high, and that just sends a really big spike. So they can send you from the bottom to the top when they do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's the wisest move, especially with QMK because he can downstack so quickly, especially if you do have straight garbage. But on the other hand, if QMK does downstack that straight garbage, it just goes back to Whip Emerald, straight obviously as well. So it could be beneficial in that manner.
Oh, so wait, what were the score of the warm-ups? Do you remember?
No, I wasn't watching. I think wasn't it 1-1?
I think it was. I'm not quite sure. I think QMK might have won both of them.
Mm-hmm. If you notice over there, QMK was timing his attack to wait for Whip Emerald's Tetris to send over. He has a lot of straight garbage, which was just what I was talking about with Whip Emerald stacking up really, really high. It just goes back to QMK very nicely.
I feel like Whip Emerald could have waited though. If he looked over at QMK's screen, he could have just kept stacking higher instead of letting QMK block the garbage.
Mm-hmm, especially with QMK's misdrop over there.
And especially because he was in quite a bad position actually at
Mm-hmm.
that point. It seems like both players don't really have an attack set up, although QMK did get through his messy garbage, and it seems like he did take this game.
Mm-hmm. And Whip Emerald unfortunately stacked over his garbage, which definitely wasn't that beneficial, especially because it was at the top of his.
Okay, so QMK did win both of the warm-ups.
Okay, so that means the score is 3-2 right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So score is QMK -2. Oh.
QMK opens with a T-spin single.
Oh, Whip Emerald got a perfect clear just then.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect clears are double-edged swords, of course, because they send 10 lines of straight garbage, and usually opponents can just chain that into a really big spike, especially if you're in the top 16, you're used to perfect clears and you know how to chain them into big spikes.
Do you think if there's a way for Whip Emerald to time that, he would have been more successful with sending the perfect clear? Or would you just say that against QMK, you just shouldn't send perfect clears?
I think he shouldn't send perfect clears because a perfect clear is a perfect clear after all. So that means that after the perfect clear, you don't have anything to send because your screen is empty. So it does take some time for you to set up the next T-spin. And by that time, I think QMK will be able to chain that into a pretty big spike to send over to Whip Emerald. But of course, I don't think that any spike that QMK would be able to muster up would be large enough because Whip Emerald would be at the bottom of this matrix. So I guess it really doesn't make that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm. I'm also noticing that Whip Emerald tries to make T-spins whenever he can, whereas QMK waits until he actually sees the T-piece before making those T-spins unless he absolutely has to. Are you seeing the same thing, or am I just crazy?
No, I'm actually agreeing with you. Like QMK makes sure that his T-spins are safe, meaning that once he makes the T-spin, he can choose to T-spin whenever he wants to because he sees the T immediately or he has the T in his hold. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Whip Emerald is so focused on attacking that sometimes he sets up the T-spin and then the T comes like 4 or 5 pieces later.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that Whip Emerald is that terrible at downstacking as well. He had a lot of messy garbage there, but seemed to downstack through that really, really quickly.
Yeah, he's definitely not a bad downstacker, but there are a lot of really good downstackers in the top 16.
Mm-hmm. Was that an eyepiece misdrop by QMK?
I think it was. And you yourself are a pretty good downstacker too.
You know. So it's hurry up garbage right now. I'm not sure what tactics they're taking on. I think QMK is
I
being a
think
little bit more
QMK wants to
defensive.
time this
Huh.
stuff well. There's actually a lot of strategies in hurry up garbage. Oh wow, 171 to 150. Both players
Do
sent quite a bit of lines here.
you think with hurry up, QMK was just out APM'd by Whip Emerald, or what happened over there, in your opinion?
I saw him place the Z piece down, and that was unfortunate for him because that covered up his garbage hole. And then Whip Emerald just sent over his T spins, and that pretty much took the game. Basically, when you're in hurry up garbage, you always need to make sure you have access to your garbage holes. Otherwise, you're going to be in for some trouble.
This is an interesting spin by Whip Emerald.
I'm not sure it did much though.
I think it was just because he had nowhere else to put it, so he
Yeah,
just decided to twist it in.
to keep his stack clean and whatnot. Seems like Whip Emerald's just going for a bunch of T spins, and QMK's obviously focusing more on down stacking. Whip Emerald's at the top, but he has a bunch of clean garbage, so he'll be able to use that pretty effectively if he can get to it.
Both players definitely know how to take advantage of the lines that are being sent to them.
Yes,
Whip
definitely.
Emerald to make T spins. Alright, I'm seeing Whip Emerald.
Seems like we're in hurry up garbage again, and Whip Emerald has a lot of messy garbage on his side of the screen, so he'll be needing to set up T spins to block QMK's incoming attacks. And QMK,
Hey, sorry about that.
no, it's no problem.
My brother came in at the exact moment that you got that phone call.
Yeah.
And you know my brother, so.
It's okay. I bet it was silent for like 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry, hard droppers. If you know my brother, you'll know that I just can't get rid of him. So, but he's awesome, I promise. He made me shake his hand to make him go away. So, anyways, hurry up, garbage.
Oh gosh, QMK's misdrop is gonna hurt a lot, especially because he had messy garbage on his side of the screen. Wow, these games are actually proving to be pretty long.
So far we've had 2 hurry up matches, and Whip Emerald has won both of them.
Yes, and he's sent quite a bit more lines in both of them too.
Why do you think Whip Emerald is winning the hurry up garbage as opposed to QMK?
I think Whip Emerald actually does time his attacks. So he sees, since QMK is the more passive player, he can notice when QMK gets in a bad position and then send his lines at that point. I think being passive in hurry up garbage isn't actually a very good strategy, because eventually you might get put into a position where it's hard to downstack or something like that. Oh wow, QMK had a nice spike just then.
And a misdrop by Whip Emerald definitely helped with that. Sorry, what were you saying about the hurry up?
I was saying that since Whip Emerald is more of the offensive player, and he can time big, large spikes and send them whenever QMK is having trouble downstacking. And since QMK doesn't really initiate the offense, Whip Emerald can pretty much do whatever he wants on offense. Oh, it seems like QMK is having trouble starting the game or something. He started a few seconds late.
Or maybe he was just waiting for the line to just come to him.
Well, you also could place pieces in like a
That's
combo
true.
position, so you can send
Hmm.
messy garbage. And then also, if you're waiting, your opponent can just set up a large combo, and then you pretty much lose the game.
Hmm.
It seems like it's just a bunch of messy garbage bouncing back and forth between these two players.
Nothing much really going on.
Both players are getting a little bit of messy garbage, but it's really nothing that they can't deal with. It seems like Whip Emerald was even trying to stack higher despite getting all that garbage, and now he might be in trouble.
I think that's with Emerald's method of canceling. He waits until he stacks up until QMK lines and then gets through his garbage, as opposed to QMK who just goes for it.
Oh, that was an interesting spin. Yeah, you do have a good point about that because if you stack higher and hold your I piece or T piece or whatever you're using to cancel, you can still get down just as effectively and possibly block even more lines.
Hmm.
It's really these games are probably really long because it's really hard to kill QMK, and since QMK isn't that much of an offensive player, it's hard for or he doesn't really end the games fast either.
Actually, playing QMK a few weeks ago, and he said, well, I asked him about his playing style, and he basically talked about how he just kept switching up his strategy. That's basically one of his strategies, that he can be very, very defensive, but he knows when to be offensive as well, or at least when to send lines at the right moment. With Emerald seems to just send as much APM as he can, whereas I feel like QMK does time his attacks a little bit more, or at least just playing in general.
Yeah, QMK times everything pretty well. He uses his resources very well, if I might say.
Hmm. And we're at hurry up garbage again.
We're near the
QMK
end of the
has a
game. Oh
nice.
wow,
Oh,
QMK
there we
takes
go.
this one.
He had a very nice Tetris lined up. And I saw a lot of messy garbage on with Emerald's side. That's just not something good. That's good to have during hurry up garbage. Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, so both players had T-spin double openings once again, and seems like they just canceled each other out. A Whip Emerald seems like, or he's at the bottom of his matrix, so he doesn't really have any attacks right now. Neither does QMK though, so I guess it'll be some time before we see either a player get an advantage. Uh,
Emerald had a lot of clean garbage over there. He definitely maximized on that, and I see a bit of messy garbage on QMK side, but I don't think it's anything that he'll have trouble with.
yeah, his first garbage hole is clean, so at the very worst, he'll be able to use it to block Whip Emerald's attack, and also get 4 lines lower in his matrix.
Mhm. If you noticed, QMK stalled over there with one of his pieces. I think it's because he understood that even if he could have placed that L piece right over his garbage, it wouldn't have let him use his downstack as effectively as he could have. So I think he was just looking at his pieces over there just to make sure that he had everything that he needed to go through with the downstack combo.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That was a pretty good strategy that he used, and now QMK is near the bottom again with a bunch of clean garbage. Whip Emerald's spiking very well right now, but it doesn't seem to be phasing QMK at all.
Do you think with Emerald is playing a bit more conservatively than he usually does?
I think he might be now that he knows that QMK is such a defensive player. He's probably not spamming his attacks anymore, and he's waiting for the right moment to send a bunch of lines over to QMK side.
Mhm.
Other than
Every
that,
time. Hmm.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. Keep going.
Other than that, it seems like he's just he's putting on constant pressure, but he's not just spamming APM like T-spin doubles followed by Tetrises like before.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing. It's fine. That was a nice T-spin setup by QMK. It allowed him to block the garbage that Whip Emerald was sending. And we see that we're in hurry up garbage again, so obviously these players are very close and both are very hard to kill, I would say.
Yeah, there are a lot of hurry up. Oh wow, QMK's team misdrop there. That was terrible. He actually might have won the game if he didn't misdrop that piece.
He also had a Z piece missed up right after that, which didn't help at all.
Yeah, that didn't really help. But I feel like that team misdrop that was not really fixable because it created a nasty hole, and the score is tied at 5-5.
He had a T-spin lined up and a Tetris lined up, right?
Yeah, I feel like if he went through with that, he could have won. It looked like Whip Emerald was gonna set up a T-spin triple, but he aborted it. Seems like he might not have had the right pieces. And QMK with the misdrop opener, but he fixes it pretty easily.
Both players are
QMK's
using twists very, very effectively. I've seen both of them use it with their gameplay style, which is very, very handy to know.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention that after seeing what QMK did to fix his misdrop, and now Whip Emerald just there, uh, using the L spin to fix his misdrop.
A lot of straight garbage on Whip Emerald's side.
What do you think the player should do to maximize their chances of winning for each player, like QMK and Whip Emerald?
You know, I've also recognized that it can be extremely frustrating playing defensive players because they are so hard to kill. I don't really have that high of APM either, so it's really interesting to see all of the canceling that's going on, especially the tactics that Whip Emerald's handling to combat this. He's actually doing a lot better than I thought he would do, especially because I had assumed that he was just an offensive player and that he didn't time very well. But I'm seeing that a lot of that is really wrong because he's doing so well against Q1K. What do you think should be done?
I think the Whip Emerald, like, I knew that he timed well because he got 13 games off of Blink, but I feel like he's adjusting the QMK strategy a little bit better. He's even timing even better. I feel like Whip Emerald should send some more messy garbage over to QMK side because if he's only sending clean garbage, then QMK can downstack through that pretty easily. And I think for QMK, maybe being a little bit more aggressive at times. Sometimes being at the middle of the matrix is better than being at the bottom, if if you have clean garbage, that is.
Mm-hmm. I also think that if with Emerald is sending more messy garbage, or if he begins to do that, he should also maximize on his back-to-back abilities as well after sending the messy garbage, only because Q&K will have a harder time to downstack through all of that. And there will be more pressure off, obviously. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Chaining your attacks is quite important because if you don't send enough lines at once, good defensive players will be able to survive that and then pretty much return all that garbage back to you. So Whip Emerald really needs to chain his attacks into just enormous spikes. Oh, that eye misdrop's gonna kill him this game.
I think, yeah. Is he stalling?
Yeah.
That
Misdropping
was a nice
eyes,
effort,
that's like the worst thing that you can do because then
especially at the top of your matrix.
and especially if you need another eye to downstack. It's just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
QMK now has won 2 games in a row, but we'll see if he can build any momentum off that. So far, it's just been back and forth. Whip Emerald going for the C spin here, and then following that with a T spin triple, or he tried to, but he made a misdraw, so it ended up being a T spin single instead.
He definitely seems to like the C spin a lot, especially with the games that he's been playing. Would you say it's risky or that it's a move that's beneficial?
I don't think it's beneficial against QMK, but I wouldn't say it's risky either since he is a good timer on offense, so he's not gonna send it like in a way that makes him lose immediately. He's not gonna just donate 11 lines of clean garbage over to QMK side. He's gonna make sure that after he does the C spin, he's in a good position to send more lines or prepare for the incoming clean garbage that QMK is gonna send.
Mm-hmm. At times, I see with Emerald stacking up for mini combos, especially when he has an attack and then he begins down stacking, so T spin and then a combo. But it doesn't really seem to have that much of an impact on QMK.
I think maybe QMK's blocking the messy garbage that comes over to his side of the screen. Oh, is that that was a polymer T-spin like Whoop Emerald. I
Wow.
didn't know that he knew how to do those. Usually, I think Larry and Baseball Boy are well known for doing those.
Polymer T spins?
Yeah, most
Mm-hmm.
players have no idea how to set them up.
And I know that a lot of people don't think that it's the most beneficial move, especially when you're playing a match like this one, because it does cause, well, you have to down stack through that afterwards, but he seemed to use that very effectively.
Yeah, if you're just setting it up just for the sake of setting it up, then that's not a good idea.
There's a lot of hurry up garbage games.
Wow, Whip Emerald just stacked right over his miss drop, and I think that's gonna hurt him a lot because QMK's just setting up T spins as fast as possible because Whip Emerald is so much messy garbage. Ooh,
I don't think he had the pieces to down stack through that. And QMK definitely maximized on that. The line set in this game were very similar though. Was it 139 to 128?
yeah, that was actually quite closer. Usually Whip Emerald sending in the 160s or 170s if it gets to hurry up garbage, but this time Whip QMK was able to stop him from just continually spiking the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Both players are in relatively safe positions once again, and oh wow, Whip Emerald with nasty misdrop there. But if you look over at QMK's screen, he doesn't have any T-spins or Tetris set up. So even though Whip Emerald's misdrop was really nasty, he had more than enough time to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the issues with timing is that you have to have lines ready on your side of the screen when your opponent misdrops, so you can actually take advantage of misdrops. A lot of times I see players after their opponent's misdrop, they don't have anything set up, so their opponents have enough time to get out of their bad situations.
And I know that these players, I mean, I don't think that they're misdropping as much as other players in this tournament, to be quite honest with you. They seem to play very cleanly. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I really don't see many misdrops from them at all. Maybe like one a game from each player. It's a lot less than the other players in this tournament for sure. And they are playing very cleanly, as you can tell if you just look at the garbage on their side. Oh wow, Whip Emerald made another misdrop there. But QMK once again, he didn't have a spike set up, so that wasn't much of a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think you're not going to expect a lot of attacks from QMK as opposed to his consistency. He's just going to, I think he's basically himself and he's going to make sure that he's safe before looking at with Emerald or making sure that he can attack them with Emerald.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to take very many risks. And Whip Emerald with that nasty misdrop that covered his eye garbage hole. So QMK was able to spike him out just then because Whip Emerald wasn't able to spin the eye piece in. I think even if he spun that piece in, he would have been in big trouble anyways. case. And QMK is gaining momentum as he does have a 9-5 lead in the match now.
Why would he have been in trouble if he had spun it in?
It created an awkward hole for Whip Emerald, and he was pretty high on his side of the screen. So QMK could have just set up a follow-up T-spin, and that probably would have taken the game. It seems like QMK's figured out how to deal with like Whip Emerald's attack as he won 4 games in a row. What do you think Whip Emerald should do to adjust?
To adjust QMK?
Yes.
I feel like honestly I would try to do a few more calls or send a bit more messy garbage as we were talking about beforehand. It definitely does slow QMK down. I'm not seeing as many spikes from QMK, so I feel like this would be a bit beneficial, and then Whip Emerald could maximize on his APM to send as many lines to QMK as he could. But as of now, I'm not really seeing that, which is fine because I feel like Whip Emerald is still keeping a cool head and he knows what he's doing. So
yeah, Whip Emerald, it's not like he's losing in the first 30 seconds or anything. He's still keeping pace for the majority of the game. It's just that when it comes to the end game, I think QMK might be timing his attacks a little bit better, and he actually doesn't misdrop as much. I think Whip Emerald had a few nasty misdrops and hurry up garbage in the course of this match already.
I think that, like you said, timing is so important, especially during hurry up garbage. I feel like QMK times his defense a little bit more, whereas Whip Emerald should focus more on his attack during hurry up garbage because he can send a lot more lines in QMK. Hopefully he'll recognize that when he gets to hurry up garbage. I mean, he has to calm down on those misdrops. And a 5-game win streak by QMK.
Yeah, QMK is really just taking a commanding lead in this match, and I think it might be psychologically affecting Whip Emerald. If you're on a 5-game losing streak, it does hurt. Oh, Whip Emerald going for a 2 mod 4 center 4 wide. I've actually only seen 2 Japanese players do it, him and a Janba. Most players like to have 3 blocks in the middle because it's easier to combo that way, but it seems like these 2 players like to use 2. But it seems like he's not able to take advantage of that, and he broke his combo countless
Yeah, he didn't
times.
have the pieces.
Yeah, I still think 3 mod 4 is easier to deal with though, because if you have 3 blocks, you only have to put 1 down to clear the line. Whereas if you have 2, then you have to have your next piece has to hit those 2 holes to clear the next line. Oh wow!
And a nice spike by QMK. Wow.
QMK on the offensive now.
Yeah, I've never seen Whip Emerald do a 4 wide before. That was actually pretty surprising. And I don't know if he's used to it as well because it doesn't seem like he didn't have the pieces to do the 4 wide.
I just find it interesting that he has 2 blocks in the middle instead of 3, because 3 is just so much easier to do, especially for most players it is. I think he puts 2 so he can possibly add 1 more to his combo at the end, but it also increases the difficulty of the combo itself. Oh, that misdrop by Whip Emerald is quite nasty. QMK though, he doesn't have anything major set up. He did have a T-spin, but 4 lines can be blocked pretty easily. Wow. Seems like
that was just misdrop after misdrop.
Yeah. Seems like QMK is just getting a comfortable lead now. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that both of these players cleared through their misdrops so quickly though. It's actually pretty impressive in my opinion. Even though Whip Emerald does misdrop a lot, he uses it to his advantage, where he actually clears it quickly enough that it doesn't make that much of an impact on him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I do think that Whip Emerald is misdropping a little bit more now, because he might be nervous, because QMK is on a pretty big win streak here.
Sorry, I wasn't checking, but do you know what the score is?
I think the score is 11-5. It's Whip Emerald's or QMK score -2. Whip Emerald's score is accurate for those of you who are wondering what the score is. It's also updated on the stream. It says in the text.
I also noticed that Whip Emerald was who was Whip Emerald practicing with before this match?
I think he was playing a Janba, and then a
Mhm.
Janba sat out.
Okay, and I don't think QMK was playing with anyone, so this might have been his initial warm up. To be quite honest with you, the first two warm up games that he played, as well as the first few games of the match that he played with Emerald.
Yeah, QMK actually told me the last time he played was like a little while before the match, so he didn't have any warm ups like immediately before the match. So maybe that's why he was a little shaky in the beginning, but now he's getting into a rhythm and he's doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And he is handling Whip Emerald's APM very well right now.
A few misdrops by Whip Emerald. And QMK is the one that's stacking pretty high now.
I think QMK noticed that Whip Emerald misdropped and that Whip Emerald wouldn't be able to set up for any spikes anytime soon, so he knew that it was safe to stack up a little bit higher. Well, Whip Emerald did get through his garbage pretty easily, and now he's on the offensive, it appears. We're in hurry up garbage once again.
Nice prophecy T-spin by Whip Emerald. I think QMK was going to set something up there, but he didn't have the pieces to do so.
Ooh, QMK needs to downstack as fast as possible. Oh, he managed to get through pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm. But it didn't really harm Whip Emerald that much. I think Whip Emerald canceled a lot of that out.
I think it's pretty important to have an even stack when you're in hurry up garbage, because if the garbage appears in a row in which your stack is really high, then you pretty much lose the game.
That was not good. That was an L-piece misdrop by Whip Emerald.
Yeah. It seems like he's just misdropping so much in hurry up garbage, and that's really costing him here.
And he plays so well with the match, and then I guess he gets a little nervous during hurry up. Maybe he shouldn't send as much garbage to QMK, at least straight garbage, because I did notice QMK just went through that really quickly.
I think he's really having trouble adjusting to QMK's strategy. I don't think he's used to playing players that don't give him fuel to the fire. Like, most players that he plays will send enough lines and he'll be able to chain those into pretty big spikes. Wow, that 4 wide that was so good.
And that ends the win streak. Are you talking about Whip Emerald playing just Japanese players?
Yeah, most of the time he only plays Japanese players because most North American players hadn't even heard of him before the tournament.
And they all have a similar style, so I guess it is a lot different playing QMK.
And because QMK is so consistent and he's really good at just blocking these spikes. So Whip Emerald's just really having trouble right now.
I noticed at the beginning Whip Emerald was just clearing a lot of singles. I'm not sure why he was doing that, but
maybe he wanted to get into a safe position or something, or as an adjustment. I think oh wow, that misdrop he needs the S piece. Is that game?
I don't think so. It's
no match point.
I think he was just stalling at the top. He didn't really know what to do. Probably, I don't know.
I feel like he should have tried to get to a piece that could have cleared the hole as fast as possible, but maybe he was kind of flustered because he was at the top and he made a misdrop, and it is now match point. I'm actually kind of surprised QMK went on such a massive win streak. I thought it'd be a little bit closer.
I think Whip Emerald was going to do a 4 wide over there, but canceled that to do a T-spin instead. QMK.
QMK covered his garbage hole, and the side of his screen that had the garbage hole was a little bit messy, so that's pretty much what cost him the game. But Whip Emerald does need a massive win streak to get back into the match.
And have you been keeping track of the predictions, Daniel?
I've been looking at them. I think most players predicted that QMK would win, although some players did predict Whip Emerald.
Mhm.
I have no idea what happened with the 4 wide there.
I don't think he could stack that high because QMK was sending so much garbage.
I know he was trying to accept the garbage that QMK was sending because that is an advantage of the center 4 wide is that your two towers on both sides of the field can go above height 20 and they'll
Hmm.
still be there. So you can accept a lot of clean garbage. So that way that your opponent probably won't have much to block your 4 wide with, and they'll be getting a lot of messy garbage. And then after that, you get like 3 free Tetrises, and usually that can win you the game.
Basically, you can just continue your combo with them.
Yeah, and even if you can't, a Tetris sends 4 lines. Oh wow, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
next game.
All right, so with the score of 15 to
7,
7,
I
I
believe.
believe.
Yes.
All right. Good job. Oh, wow, that's great. Good job, you guys. You were
Good
fantastic.
games, everyone.
Good games.